No, I'd never even heard about her until this friend said Meghan Markle. I was like, right, okay, give me a bit of background. what's going on here? So no, I'd never watched Suits. I'd never heard of Meghan before, and I was beautifully surprised when I walked into that room and saw her, and there she was sitting there. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna really have to up my game. I'm gonna sit down and and make sure I've got a good chat.
I think for both of us, though, it was really refreshing because, given that I didn't know a lot about him, everything that I've learned about him, I learned through him, as opposed to having grown up around different news stories or tabloids or whatever else. Anything I learned about him and his family was what he would share with me, and vice versa. So for both of us, it was just a really authentic and organic way to get to know each other.
And was that quite refreshing for you in the way that you've been brought up, with a lot of people knowing a lot about you? Was it refreshing?
Or thinking they know.
Or thinking they know.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it was hugely refreshing to be able to get to know someone who isn't necessarily within your circle, doesn't know much about me, I don't know much about her. So to be able to start almost afresh, right from the beginning, and getting to know each other step by step. And then taking that huge leap of only 2 dates, and then going effectively on holiday together in the middle of nowhere, and sharing a tent together and all that kind of stuff. It was fantastic. It was absolutely amazing to get to know her as quickly as I did.
In the case of your relationship, unlike for most people, there's this whole layer of what it means to get involved with someone from the royal family. How much of a sense did you have, Meghan, of the enormity of what you were getting into, what it might mean for your life?
I think I can very safely say, as naive as it sounds now, having gone through this learning curve in the past year and a half, I did not have any understanding of just what it would be like. I don't think either of us did that. We both said that, even though we knew that it would be.
I tried to warn you as much as possible, but I think both of us were totally surprised by the reaction after the first 5-6 months of what we had to ourselves, of what actually happened from then. So I think you can have as many conversations as you want and try and prepare as much as possible, but we were totally unprepared for what happened after that.
The scrutiny.
Well, all sorts. I don't know if it's something new. I think it's for me it's an added member of the family. It's another team player as part of the bigger team, and for all of us, all we want to do is be able to carry out the right engagements, carry out our work, and try and encourage others and the younger generation to be able to see the world in the correct sense, rather than perhaps having a distorted view. Try and encourage others and the younger generation to be able to see the world in the correct sense, rather than perhaps having a distorted view. So the fact that I fell in love with Meghan so incredibly quickly was a sort of confirmation to me that everything, all the stars were aligned. Everything was just perfect. It was this beautiful woman just sort of literally tripped and fell into my life. I fell into her life, and the fact that I know the fact that she'll be really unbelievably good at the job part of it as well, is obviously a huge relief to me, because she'll be able to deal with everything else that comes with it. But no, we're a fantastic team. We know we are, and we hope to over time try and have as much impact for all the things that we care about as much as possible.
I am very excited about that. Yeah.
And
it's been great.
Your ring.
Oh yes.
Tell us about your ring.
The ring is obviously yellow gold, because that's her favourite, and the main stone itself I sourced from Botswana, and the little diamonds either side are from my mother's jewellery collection, to make sure that she's with us on this crazy journey together. To make sure that she's with us on this crazy journey together. And
it's beautiful, and he designed it. It's incredible.
Yeah. And make sure it stays on that finger.
Of course.
What does it mean to you, Meghan, to have those stones on your finger that once belonged to Princess Diana?
I think everything about Harry's thoughtfulness and the inclusion of that, and obviously not being able to meet his mom. It's so important to me to know that she's a part of this with us. And the inclusion of that, and obviously not being able to meet his mom, it's so important to me to know that she's a part of this with us, and I think in being able to meet his aunts and also to be like Julia and just different people who are so important to his mom, I'm able to in some way know a part of her through them and of course through him, and it's incredibly special. And to be able to have this, which sort of links where you come from, and Botswana, which is important to us, and it's perfect.
What do you think your mother would have thought of Meghan or said about Meghan?
Oh, they'd be thick as thieves. Without question. I think she would be over the moon, jumping up and down, so excited for me. But then, as I said, would have probably been best friends with Meghan. So no, it is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's
with us.
I'm sure she's with us. Jumping up and down somewhere else. It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Jumping up and down somewhere else.
I understood the assignment.
It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Jumping up and down somewhere else.
There was someone who reportedly works for the British tabloids who don't get along with Meghan and Harry, screaming at Meghan, and specifically he screamed, "How does it feel that you ruined two families?" Okay? Then they get into the car, and now the pursuit happens, right? Now the paparazzi are following them because, of course, they want that photo. They've already yelled that thing at her. Now they want the photo of her going like, or whatever, so that they can publish any photo of them looking a certain way and us coming to a conclusion, just like we did with Ben and J-Lo last week.
I'm so glad that we got that context, because I feel like when I saw these headlines yesterday, you see the word catastrophic and you think, okay, like physical harm or what happened? And then it becomes a he said, she said sort of situation. I don't think it should be a he said. Like, paparazzi are dangerous. They are historically dangerous. This is a family that has been affected by historically dangerous paparazzi. So I think the bigger conversation that we should be having, because admittedly, I get a little nervous when they're in the headlines about being like, what's actually happening here? I know there's been a lot of up and down, the roller coaster of them. So I was a little skeptical at first, but hearing that context helps, because this is messy, this is dangerous, and Harry is the son of, of Princess Di. Like, yep. I think we should be more careful with celebrities, especially with paparazzis and Harry.
It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Jumping up and down somewhere else.
So what really happened with this car chase in New York involving Prince Harry and Meghan? Well, I've just got off the phone with someone who was in it. His name is Chris Sanchez. He's with their security detail. He used to be with the Secret Service, and he told me it was the worst thing he's ever been through. It wasn't a high-speed chase because they were trying to stick to the speed limits and not put anyone in danger, but it did go on for more than 2 hours. It involved swapping vehicles and trying to get into safe spaces. They said there was about a dozen vehicles, cars, motorbikes and also cycles, chasing them, trying to get pictures. At one point, Harry and Meghan's car was blocked off and photographers were taking pictures of them. They didn't at any point feel at risk. They were scared, but they didn't feel their life was at risk. They were, however, concerned about people dying on the roads, because the paps, they say, were crossing red lights, going up onto the sidewalk, and at several points they were concerned that pedestrians could be killed. So it was pretty serious as far as they're concerned.
It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Jumping up and down somewhere else.
Part of the security detail. He used to be with the Secret Service. He told me, I've never experienced anything like this. What we were dealing with was very chaotic. There were about a dozen vehicles, cars, scooters and bicycles. The public were in jeopardy at several points. It could have been fatal. So that's what they were dealing with, Brianna, and they're clearly very shaken up. It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Jumping up and down somewhere else.
They're in a blacked out SUV. You can't really see in there anyway. The object of the game seemed to be to conduct a surveillance that took them back to where they were going, so that the paparazzi could stake that out, camp out there, and then be able to follow their every move. So they were trying to thwart that. And I mean, that goes literally. They go all the way uptown, can't shake them, they're trying to slow down. Now, they're not running red lights, they're not speeding, but these people are swarming around, blocking the front of the car, driving through red lights into oncoming traffic. At one point, when two of the SUVs in the motorcade didn't move while the car with the Duke and Duchess went, one of those paparazzi cars mounted the sidewalk, hit something, skirted the corner, came off the sidewalk, pedestrians scattering.
How long did this go on for?
So this goes on for an hour and a half plus until they finally say, we've been uptown, we've been downtown to 23rd Street, uptown to 96th Street, FDR Drive, 3rd Avenue, side streets, and we can't lose this pack. So Tommy Buddha, who is the guy running the motorcade on the private security side, former FBI, NYPD, JTTF detective, very competent guy, says, let's go somewhere safe, take a breather and make a plan. So they go to the 19th Police Precinct. That's where they shift to the taxi, but the spotters for the paparazzis end up following them. And then they go to plan C, which actually works.
And they shifted to the taxi, John, as a decoy to throw off the paparazzi?
The idea would be the paparazzi were focused on the motorcade that was in place. And if they could slip them into a taxi that would then disappear at midnight into a sea of other taxis in Manhattan traffic, it might actually be the getaway, because the place they were going actually wasn't far away. It was a couple of blocks.
Okay, that was sort of what the mayor was alluding to. How could it be a high-speed chase in New York City? We wish that we could do a high-speed chase, but at times it was, right, John?
So this was never a high-speed chase, because the motorcade had an NYPD element in it from the Intelligence Bureau. And the instructions were, we're not lights and sirens, we're not running lights, we're following traffic regulations, we're there as a protection detail. Now, the paparazzi, that was a different set of rules, because they went high speed to catch up. There was a time where they were, half a block behind the motorcade, and they literally crossed the yellow lines, drove into oncoming traffic until they caught up and placed themselves back there. That was among 20 things that happened, from 23rd Street to 96th Street as they tried to stay, on their tail.
Sonny, had you ever seen anything else like this in your years of driving a taxi?
No. I've been driving now since 2018. This was the first time I saw this. I had other celebrities, but other celebrities never got that much attention from the paparazzis.
That's interesting. And so does that give you a sense? I mean, now today, with all the attention that this has gotten, does that surprise you, and does it give you a sense of what their lives must be like?
Yeah, you can tell, right? He lost his mother, running away from the paparazzis as well. So you can tell they were nervous and scared in the car.
Yeah. How much was the fare? Did they give you a good tip?
Exactly. It was They gave me a good tip. It was a fare of $17.80. They gave me a 50 for 15 years of work.
That is a good tip, right there, Sonny.
Yeah, really good, really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
They would have been covered as representatives of the crown, as members of the royal family, as a diplomatic trip. Basically, they're private citizens now, and not on a government mission here. But, you know, the first rule of risk management, as we were taught long ago, is predictable is preventable. When you have two people that you know are going to draw this kind of attention and potentially this kind of mayhem, you put a police element in there just in the name of public safety. And that's why the NYPD was, along with the private security. The complicating factor is, as it was just said here by Richard, that's to protect them from threats that you would have against royals and people like that, terrorists, stalkers, you know, assassins, the normal threats. When you're surrounded by, you know, this swarm of press that are literally slowing you down, blocking you at intersections, then trying to catch up to you, if there is a real threat, getting off the X is that much harder.
Yeah. Aaron, it's interesting to hear Sonny say that he's transported celebrities before, but he's never seen anything like this.
It's just, I think it's really hard for us in the US to understand the scale of the interest that still exists in the UK for them. Once we, in the month of February, Meghan made no public appearances, and we kind of, as a journalistic exercise, decided to count the number of stories that the Daily Mail ran on her. Never spotted in public at any point in time more than 100 stories. And some of them were just like, you know, they're just things that happened, like something from her blog from 2014 that was repeated 4 times. And it's just, at a certain point, you know, they understand now that they can't really get rid of that interest, but I think that they're trying to do their hardest to, you know, I think that they've been using shame tactics, they've been using legal tactics to try to discourage some of this. And so I think that that's why this became public in the first place, is because people started running those photos and they were thinking, okay, we don't want them to be running these photos. We don't want the people who are making our lives miserable last night to make the money off of it. And after sharing,
it is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But you know, with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, you know, jumping up and down somewhere else.
Happened very close to here when we were leaving the building yesterday. There was nothing but cameras all over the place, and I was trying to figure out what happened. And I guess, you know, she was leaving the ballroom, but they said that the paparazzi allegedly hit like 6, 7 cars over there, and they said it was a big thing.
That's what we were told yesterday. Cause
they said they hit the cars?
Yeah. We were told that yesterday. We were told that the paparazzi was going around the block because I guess she was in a building over here. She was in an event over here or something?
What is it, the Siegfried Ballroom over there? Yeah.
Something. Yeah. And they was like paparazzi was hitting cars.
Yeah.
You know, trying to get a picture of her.
Trying to get the picture, which is weird because in New York City, you really don't see wild paparazzi crazy like that chasing people because you see so many people. You don't really have that, you know, here. But
y'all losing y'all damn mind over Meghan Markle. Come on, stop.
Well, they allegedly said it was no actual collision, so I don't know if they meant hit, like, you know, resulting in an injury or accident or what.
These were parked cars.
Parked cars.
Yeah, these were parked cars.
Yeah.
The security told us that yesterday. Security literally told us yesterday. Meghan Markle was at the ballroom or whatever last night. Ballroom, the paparazzi kept going around in circles just to get a picture of her, and they was hitting parked cars.
Yeah.
I heard that before I even heard from the mayor.
Okay.
It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But you know, with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, you know, jumping up and down somewhere else.
The press, paparazzis, you know, they want to get the right shot, they want to get the right story. But public safety must always be at the forefront. The briefing I received. 2 of our officers could have been injured. New York City is different from a small town somewhere. You shouldn't be speeding anywhere, but this is a densely populated city. And I think all of us, I don't think there's many of us who don't recall how his mom died. And it would be horrific to lose an innocent bystander during a chase like this, and something to have happened to them as well. So I think we have to be extremely responsible. I thought that was a bit reckless and irresponsible.
It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But you know, with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's
with us.
I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, you know, jumping up and down somewhere else.
The way I saw them follow the car, I wasn't surprised by the headlines. They actually went in from the side entrance. They didn't come in from the front red carpet entrance. Me and a couple other supporters ran to the back to kind of catch them walking in because we saw all the paparazzi running to the back suddenly. And it became pretty aggressive. The paparazzi had access to the garage from where they were entering, and they were being kind of manhandled by the bodyguards to prevent them from getting too close to the Sussexes. And the entire time, a lot of the paparazzi were heckling Meghan and Harry and making just negative comments, trying to get a reaction out of them. As they were leaving, just the way they chased the car, it just reminds you of like all the other scenes you've seen in the past with Prince Harry's mother. And it was just really upsetting. If it was triggering for me, I can't even imagine how it must have felt for them.
You know, it is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But you know, with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, you know, jumping up and down somewhere else.
How many paparazzi would you say there were when you had them in your cab?
I want to say six that I seen, and there were about 2 cars following us as the trash truck moved, and there was 2 cars following us.
And where did they want to go?
Well, they were just about to say the location where they were going to go, but then the paparazzis came and the security guard said, hey, listen, just circle back to the precinct.
So they had a security guard in the cab as well?
In the cab, yes.
Okay,
and you see him in one of the pictures. He's sitting next to me.
Were you surprised that they were in your cab?
You know, not so much. You know, we get celebrities in the city all the time, you know, so not so much.
We know that the paparazzi...
I mean, New York City, you don't know who you get...
Right.
You don't know who you're going to pick up in New York, right? So.
Right, and that's true. But, I mean, in your experience, was the paparazzi attention any more or less than it would be for other major celebrities?
No, for them it was more. It was a lot more. Because I had other celebrities in my cab as well, but this one, because they surrounded the car and just went crazy with the camera.
And how would you describe...
Yeah, go ahead.
How would you describe how Harry and Meghan were about this?
They were nervous. They were nervous. You could see the look on their face.
You know, it is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But you know, with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, you know, jumping up and down somewhere else.
I spoke to Chris Sanchez on the phone. He was part of the security detail. He used to be with the Secret Service. He told me, I've never experienced anything like this. What we were dealing with was very chaotic. There were about a dozen vehicles, cars, scooters and bicycles. The public were in jeopardy at several points. It could have been fatal. So that's what they were dealing with, Brianna, and they're clearly very shaken up.
Sometimes I'm selfish, get jealous, I feel a little helpless. My whole world has shifted again. You made a promise, I kept it. Now I'm second guessing. My whole world has shifted again. Now I drive back to an empty home, and it's setting in. Now that your things are gone, what have I done? Was everything worth this? I guess I deserve this. I do run whenever I'm hurting. I guess I'm still learning how to love.
Harry will have all the fun then. Harry will have all the fun then.
Seeing shadows where I go. I'm still searching for the right road, and I try, but it's useless.
I understood the assignment.
It is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's
with us.
I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, jumping up and down somewhere else.
Not being able to meet his mom, it's so important to me to know that she's a part of this with us.
I understood the assignment.